Hey guys, what's going on? Before we get into this review, I do want to say that number one, it's great to get back to talking about X-Men here on the channel, but also I want to let you guys know and just be transparent with you guys that this video was supposed to come out quite some time ago, and because of that, my buddy Darnell, who is my guest in this video from Rejected Heroes Media, which I'm very happy to finally have him on for a collab review after all this time, he is going to mention something about Doctor Strange and getting to see it a little bit early, the new one, Multiverse of Madness, which of course has already been out for quite some time. So because this is a later review compared to when it was supposed to drop, I just wanted to kind of give you guys that little bit of insight that this was supposed to come out earlier. So please do disregard that moment in terms of, timing. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get into this. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video and another X-Men collab review series video. That was a lot to say right then and there, but yeah, we're almost done. For anybody who's just hopping on, or maybe you've seen a couple of them, the whole goal here was to have a various different guest on every single video that I would do, covering every single X-Men film, live action wise, that has come out that I had not already covered. When I started doing this, I had already done things like New Mutants, Once Upon a Deadpool, as well as things like X-Men Dark Phoenix, but I hadn't done a majority of the film slate of all those X-Men films. So over the course of time, over the course of the last few months, I've been slowly putting out reviews with a different guest in every video. And today, like I mentioned earlier, I'm very happy to be joined in this video by Darnell from Rejected Heroes Media as we talk about Deadpool. Directed by Tim Miller and written by people like Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, this is Deadpool. We finally got a Deadpool film starring people like Ryan Reynolds, Morena Baccarin, TJ Miller, Ed Skrein, and so many others. This film also has a fantastic score from Junkie XL that keeps the energy up high, and overall is a dream come true. So let me take you back just a little bit. When I was a kid growing up in the early 2000s, there was this character that got really popular in the 90s that I knew of, but I didn't really dive too deep into until the early 2000s, and that is Deadpool. He's a character I loved seeing appear in anything animated, the comic books that were definitely more R-rated, and then he would end up going later on to get his own video game, and he'd end up, appearing in things like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and he's just a really cool character, and I always just thought, wow, here's this character that breaks the fourth wall, which is not brand new to things at this point in time, but in the comic book world, there wasn't too many characters that did that, and he definitely stood out for being a fun, very different, whimsical character. And so here we are now with this film, and what I can say about this one is, man, what a dream come true. For anybody who's not familiar with what it took to get to this point, which I have to imagine at this point most people are, Deadpool is a character they really didn't know how to bring to screen, and when we would finally see Wade Wilson, Deadpool, appear for the first time in live action, yeah, it was a travesty. We finally got to see the character, and every time that we had Ryan Reynolds actually opening his mouth to be the Merc with the mouth, even though he wasn't in the iconic suit, it felt like Deadpool. There's some cool action with him in the early part of the movie, but then later on they decide to do this abomination that they ended up doing in that movie, covering his mouth and making him this very weird mutant creature hybrid that was nothing in any way, shape, or form anything like Deadpool. And so after many years of Ryan Reynolds and others trying to make it happen, some leaked footage that apparently didn't come from them, but very much did come from them for sure, we finally got a Deadpool film that honored the character from the comic books, honored the legacy of who this character was, while also poking fun of what had come before. I think that Ryan Reynolds, honestly, when you really look at his career, even the duds, have really built up this phenomenal filmography that is The Oven. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds' career, when you really think of his superhero career with things like Green Lantern and his Deadpool appearance in X-Men Origins Wolverine, yeah, it is just insane to see the growth of him as an actor, and how at this point we can look back at those things kind of with like a charming kind of like, wow, that wasn't great, but you can kind of laugh at it, you know what I mean? They're not those movies that it's like, oh my God, that's so bad, I never even want to hear about it, talk about it, or see it ever again. I think the worst thing a movie can be, as I've mentioned on the channel before, is boring, which ultimately leads to it being forgettable. And even for how bad things like X-Men Origins Wolverine are, or even Green Lantern, which I've yet to cover here on the channel, there's entertainment value to all of those movies, even if it's so cringe or so silly or dumb. that it's still fun, you know what I mean? Like that it's just a silly good time. And that's how I feel about X-Men Origins Wolverine, even though I don't think it's a great movie and I think it messes up a lot of things in the timeline. I really enjoy a lot about that film. There's this a silly goofiness at this point that you can kind of watch it and have a laugh with it versus completely forgetting it. So at the time that this movie came out, I was working at a Cinemark theater, and man, I remember getting off of work and getting to that first Thursday night preview with my fiance Haley. We were not engaged at the time, but wow, just what a phenomenal film. I had so much fun watching this movie. I was laughing, I had a grin from ear to ear the entire time I watched this movie in theaters the first time I saw it. And for me, really, it was just a fulfillment of years long, you know, just demand from fans wanting to see this character done correctly. You know, if you played the video games, if you saw him appear in the animated stuff, if you read the comics, you know that his character just has a different energy. And what I love about this film is that it's a conventional superhero story by every possible way. Like, it is literally a, you know, cookie cutter story, but with an unconventional hero. They take a narrative that you're familiar with, something you've seen before, something that is not reinventing the wheel, but they throw in a character that is completely different, that is not conventional, that is not cookie cutter. And that's part of what makes this movie so much fun. You have those elements that you've already come to expect in a superhero movie, and this movie decides to be super self-aware with it, with this, you know, fourth wall breaking hero who knows he's a movie character, he knows he's in a movie. In the video games, he knows he's in a video game. He references it throughout the entirety of the time that he's in that video game. If he's in a comic book, he knows he's in a comic book and that you're reading the panels that he's on. It just leads to having a really fun and interesting character, and I think that Ryan Reynolds did an incredible job of becoming Deadpool in this film, taking, you know, his Ryan Reynolds isms and bringing it to the character, and I'm really defining the character in a way where I feel like it's going to be really hard for anybody to top Deadpool moving forward. Now, of course, like I said before, we've had animated versions, we've had video game versions, and a lot of them do have a very similar energy to what Ryan Reynolds is doing. So overall, I think for the most part, you know, there is an energy to Deadpool that could be replicated later on. But I really do thoroughly enjoy what, you know, Ryan Reynolds did with the character. And when it comes to this movie, in and of itself, it's just a good, fun time with a lot of great, gory action, a lot of, you know, very silly humor that we'll get into a little bit more on my second half of the review. But overall, again, a conventional story with an unconventional hero that is just a good time, and I was not bored at all upon my rewatch. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pass the floor off to my buddy Darnell from Rejected Heroes Media. We're going to be getting back to my thoughts in just a moment, but let's go ahead and hear what Darnell had to say about Deadpool.
What's going on, my brother Anthony A. Perez? I'm finally on your channel at last. Good things come to those who wait, right? Good to be on your channel, good to be talking to you and the fans and the subscribers and the viewers about Deadpool. The original Deadpool that was just like, yeah, that was like a surprise hit when it came out way back in the day. Ryan Reynolds, I was just like, okay, Ryan Reynolds is getting another shot at playing Deadpool because what he did in X-Men Origins Wolverine, we don't give a fuck. I really feel like they nailed Deadpool in this movie, and I also feel like it was this movie that really, like, yeah, from this point on, this is like what Ryan Reynolds is like in every movie. Just think about it. It's his Deadpool. Now he's Deadpool in Detective Pikachu. He's Deadpool in Free Guy. He's Deadpool in Deadpool is his. Well, it was just he's Deadpool all the time. But we love Ryan Reynolds. It's one of the things that's like, it's almost kind of like the, how can I put it? Can I say like Melissa McCarthy? No, she's not a good example. It's more like Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds in every movie he's in. But it's like, it's not a bad thing. Better example is like Will Smith. Will Smith is like Will Smith in a lot of movies he's in. So Ryan Reynolds is like Ryan Reynolds in a movie he's in. You know, it's like, you know how Ryan Reynolds acts at this point. They'll just put it at every one of his movies, but it all started in Deadpool 1. I'll pretty much give you my thoughts real quick on Deadpool 1, what I thought about it, and how it still holds up today. And yeah, let's talk about it. First of all, I like the simple story of it. First of all, I like the meta humor in Deadpool, because literally one of the things, he would just turn to the camera and be like, okay guys, so we're gonna go down there, we're gonna kick some ass, and yeah, cue the music, gonna go do my shit. And then with at that time, it was just like, meta humor, it was in movies, but it was also like not as like in your face as Deadpool made it, and I like it even more than that. Like I said, they got the perfect actor to do it. Ryan Reynolds just oozes charisma, just oozes, just yeah, that's definitely Wade Watson. Wait, Wilson. He kills it. We love him as Deadpool. As far as the plot in the movie goes, like I said, I don't know, Anthony, if you're going to talk about the plot, but as far as the plot in the movie goes, like I said, you pretty much meet Ryan Reynolds as Ryan Reynolds, just what I'm gonna call him, Ryan Reynolds. He's with his girlfriend, stuff like that. Everything's living the good life until he ends up getting this like what was it, a disease or some shit, something inoperable or something. So asshole dude's like, yeah, I'll inject you with this T virus and shit like that, give you superpowers, but it's gonna make you like look like Freddy Krueger if he was an avocado. So it's that joke didn't age well. Something about an avocado, Freddy Krueger, something like that. The only way he pretty much becomes Deadpool is pretty much like fucking immortal. Just think of like Wolverine if Wolverine had a sense of humor and just wore, you know, red and black tights. Now kicking the shit out of baddies, pretty much want to get back at this dude Francis for fucking his face up. And that's like the short version of the movie. I love about the movie the fact that, like I said, Ryan Reynolds kills it. The action in the movie is just amazing. Like this the humor in it is what really all works. It's one of those movies that was like lightning in a bottle, because I like Deadpool 2, don't get me wrong. I like Deadpool 2, but it's one of the things that's like kind of like the Sonic 2 treatment, I'll say. I mean by that is the fact that Sonic 1 was like I hope this is good, please let this be good, great. Sonic 2 was like, okay, I know Sonic 2 is gonna be good, but the first one was good. So you got like that After Effect thing going. So it was like the same thing with Deadpool 2. I was like, I know Deadpool 2 is gonna rock because it's got Cable in it, Thanos. They're gonna make a Thanos joke, I know it. Only possible because they springboard off the fact that I knew the first Deadpool was also good too. So good movies. Don't really have too many concepts about the movie. The fact that I will say, like, it is kind of aged a little bit, because this movie did come back, what, like 4 or 5 years ago. So it's just one of the movies that's like, I feel like the second one holds up just a little bit more, but the story and the humor, if you could appreciate, take your mind way back to the year it came out, still a good watch. At the end of the day, had a great time rewatching Deadpool. Anthony, thank you for letting me be on your channel at long last, brother. I love you and appreciate the patience you have for me getting this video to you, because I am a punctual person, but I just be having like so much shit just happening. I watch. Mention the fact that I'm still trying to see Doctor Strange 2 early, so there that goes. Back to you, Anthony. Thank you for letting me be on your show, talk about Deadpool, and I will pass it back to you, and hope you guys enjoy your week, enjoy more of Anthony's videos, enjoy more of my videos, and see you guys in the next video. As always, subscribe. Until next time.
A big thanks to Darnell for being here in this video. This review has been a long time in the making as far as us doing a collab together. So a big thanks to him for being a part of this video and my X-Men series of reviews with all these various guests that I've been able to have on my channel for this series. Yeah, man, loved hearing your thoughts, and seems like for the most part we have pretty similar thoughts. I would say the one thing for me about this movie that doesn't 100% work today, and I think is going to become a little more dated as time goes on, are some of the jokes and some of the humor in this movie. They're definitely going for vulgar, they're going for obscene, they're going for over the top, and a lot of times that works. There's a silly kind of childlike, immature humor to this movie that does work. You know, it kind of tickles that part of you that's still a bit of a kid, that still likes to kind of laugh at things like a fart joke. Now, I'm not saying that fart jokes are necessarily funny, but this movie definitely leans into some over-the-top, immature humor. With that said though, sometimes some of those jokes just don't land anymore. I feel like even in the few years since this movie's been released, even with a sequel and stuff like that, I think one of my biggest issues with both this movie and the second Deadpool is that there are a lot of jokes that randomly appear here and there that ultimately, you know, don't 100% land, you know, nowadays, or are so much about what was going on around that time that I feel like 10 years from now, people are gonna watch this movie and not get all of the references and jokes that are happening. But besides that though, I do find a lot of this movie to still be really funny. There's so much about this movie that still really works outside of these moments where it kind of feels like they're trying to be funny. Ed Skrein as our villain, Ajax, in this film, I think is really great. I really thoroughly enjoy him in the role, and overall I think he's a really great actor. So yeah, he kind of plays off of that silly over-the-topness that Ryan Reynolds is giving him here. He's funny in his own way, but more in a straight man kind of way. And overall, I like the chemistry between the two characters. I think that over-the-top kind of silly humor that comes from Deadpool versus this villain that maybe takes himself a little too seriously kind of leads to very over-the-top, you know, kind of silly moments between the two that kind of, you know, just keep it engaging, keep it fun, and keep it light all at the same time. Stephen Kapicic, I believe is how you pronounce his name, or Kapicic, I'm not really sure entirely. Yeah, he's the guy who does Colossus here, which, let's touch on, you know, my thoughts on the inconsistencies here. Now, you could make the claim that Deadpool takes place in a completely different universe and has no ties to the X-Men films, and in a lot of ways, I would say that is the case here, but there are references to the other X-Men films because this is a very self-aware film. For instance, when we first meet Colossus, he wants to take Deadpool back to the X-Mansion, and Deadpool ends up asking him, which Xavier are we going to go see at the X-Mansion? Is it going to be Patrick Stewart, or is it going to be McAvoy? And he mentions how the timelines get confusing. So I love that this movie makes reference to the fact that there's inconsistencies galore across this entire series. But beyond that, I also really thoroughly enjoy the fact that this movie does something new and different with these characters. Colossus is the best he's ever been, which is a damn shame because I think they could have done a lot more with Colossus in the other films. But this one is far more accurate to who Colossus is in the comic book. So as much as I enjoy the other films that other Colossus is present in, I really wish this Colossus had been in those films. The humor, the look, the feel, the voice, everything about him is Colossus straight from the comic book panels. And yeah, it just kind of makes you wish retroactively that we could get more of Colossus like this in those other X-Men films. It would have completely changed the dynamics. Brianna Hildebrand, who plays Negasonic Teenage Warhead, when I found out they were going to put her character in this movie back when they were just kind of announcing things on this movie, I was hyped because she was a character that I was familiar with in terms of her name, but I did not know much about her character, and I always thought, what the hell is up with this character and this name? So to see them bring a completely random, obscure X-Men character like that to the big screen and give her heart and charm and a good personality that kind of makes her kind of funny, you know, this teenager who's trying to be really cold and brooding and dark. I really felt like it fit the character well. It kind of added to the chemistry of these various characters at all various different kinds of personalities. And the fact that, you know, they brought, again, a character so obscure to the table is awesome. And kind of leans into more of those jokes that Deadpool would end up making about the fact that the studio maybe didn't have the budget or give them the budget to have other X-Men in the film, which I kind of wish they had, but I love that this film is able to kind of poke fun, not only at itself, not only at the superhero genre, but also at the studio that's making it. You know, it's making fun of the people who are behind the camera as well, and the people who are on screen, while also telling a story. I think this movie has a lot that it had to balance to kind of really impress people and make this a viable franchise. And when you look at what Ryan Reynolds, the other writers, and people like Tim Miller, the director, really had to do and what they accomplished with this movie, man, I gotta say it's a home run in my opinion in so many ways. Again, there are things that don't work 100% by today's standards of films, but I think that the action is fun, the story, again, conventional, but you take the unconventional hero and put the mix of it, it makes it fun and different. And yeah, I think if you're a big fan of the superhero genre and you've yet to see this, I think this is a great deconstruction of what a superhero movie and franchise is all about, and they have a lot of fun making this movie, which is definitely one of my favorite parts about this movie. Now, the main core center of the story is the romance, right, between Wade and Vanessa, but I do feel like that's a really rushed part of this movie, which, you know, you could lean into the fact that that's kind of what they were going for, a cliche story, again, with an unconventional hero. So I can kind of give it a pass on that, but, you know, if I was to bring out some negatives, like I said, some of the jokes don't always land, but specifically I feel like that romance is super, super rushed. But not long into the film you buy into it, and you really do buy into the motivation that Wade has, so it really doesn't take you out of it that much. It was just something that I kind of noticed while I was watching this time around, just like I didn't remember it being so sped up, like the romance just builds up so quickly. But again, not far into the movie, you really aren't worried about that. This film also stars Gina Carano, and yeah, she's kind of been canceled lately, right? Like, she's canceled, no longer in The Mandalorian and stuff. I think she's good in this movie, you know, she looks good. I think she's a really beautiful actress, and that kind of big bulkiness about her kind of makes her a bit sexy. But yeah, I don't know if we'll ever see Gina Carano in something else like this in the future, but we'll see. But overall, yeah, guys, this is just kind of my rambly thoughts on this X-Men installment, Deadpool, and it's been a lot of fun talking about these movies. At this point, all we have left is Logan and Deadpool 2, and then we're done with the X-Men series, and I'm very happy to be joined in those two videos that are coming up by Trav Tries and Q Reviews, so that should be a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy those videos when those videos come out. A big thanks to you guys for watching, and the biggest thanks I can give you guys is honestly checking out my Star Wars Celebration videos that came out in the last few weeks, and my Stranger Things video isn't doing too well. Hopefully you guys will go back and catch that video at some point. But yeah, I just want to say a big thanks to you guys for supporting the channel, and hit the comment section down below as well. Let me know what you guys think about Deadpool, which is your favorite movie in the X-Men series. You know what to do down below. Hit that like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.